Turn in your student book to page 57. Our content focus is empowerment. We are about to read some poetry. Keep an open mind about poetry. A good attitude will help you understand this genre of literature. Poetry has the potential to make you think deeply and learn about the power of words. What do you think the poems will be about? Literature is divided into categories or genres. Repeat after me. Genres. Thank you, ma'am, belongs to the short story genre. The text we will read today, If I Were in Charge of the World, and We Real Cool, belong to the poetry genre. I want you to glance over the poems on the following pages. Who is the author of If I Were in Charge of the World? Who is the author of We Real Cool? The author's purpose is the reason that he or she wrote the text. Authors write for different purposes. Poets write to entertain, to express their thoughts, and to make us think. Knowing an author's purpose can help you understand a text better. What do you know about poetry? Do all poems rhyme? Do you have any favorite poems? Think about songs that have poems inside of them with lyrics that have rhythm and rhyme. Have you ever attempted to write poetry? I want you to go ahead and fill in the author's names and the author's purpose. Let's look at our big idea questions. Are we in control of our lives? Why or why not? To what degree do the choices we make as teens affect our futures? Explain. What do you think about those two questions? Now I want you to write an answer to those two questions. We'll come back to these questions after we finish reading the poems, and you'll be able to add to your answers as you gain information and perspective. Now let's look at the poetry preview checklist on the page. We're going to look at the title to see what clues it provides about the poem. We're going to look at the pictures to find out what additional information is added here. We're going to look at the margin information to see what vocabulary is important to understand the poems. And we're going to look at the form to see what you notice about the poem's length, shape, layout, and punctuation. So I want you to go ahead and preview the text using that preview checklist on page 57. So we're going to be looking at the poems on pages 59 and 60. What is the title of the first poem? What clue does the title provide about the passage? Let's look to see what additional information the pictures provide. What do you notice about the poem's form? What is the title of the next poem? What clue does the title provide about the passage? Let's look to see what additional information the pictures provide. What do you notice about the poem's form? Now turn to page 58 in your student books. We are about to read two poems, If I Were in Charge of the World and We Real Cool. Before we read, let's take a look at the vocabulary words we will come across in these poems. Remember that as I read each word in the first column aloud, you're going to write the word in the third column and then rate your knowledge of it in the fourth column. Let's go back and look at our vocabulary rating scale for a minute. Remember, you're going to rate the word a 0 if you've never heard the word before, a 1 if you've heard the word but aren't sure how to use it, a 2 if you're familiar with the word but you're not sure if you know the exact meaning, and a 3 if you know the meaning of the word and can use it correctly in a sentence. So now let's go back and look at the words on page 58. Remember that these points that you're going to rate them are not a grade. They are just there to help you know which words you need to focus on. By the end of the unit, you should be able to change all your ratings to a 3. That's the goal. Remember, you're going to write each word in the third column as I read the words aloud. Charge, cancel, allergy, healthy, lonely, punch, allow, lurk, straight, and sin. Let's take a closer look at the words. Let's look at the first word together. Charge. Charge means the responsibility of managing or controlling something. What is the responsibility of managing and controlling something? It would be nice if students would take charge of keeping the campus looking nice. I am in charge of making dinner in my house. Who is in charge of making dinner at your house? Congress has the charge of making laws. Let's read the next word together. Cancel. Cancel means to stop something from happening or existing. What word means to stop something from happening? If you get sick, you might have to cancel some plans. When it rains, baseball games can be canceled. A credit card company will cancel your account if you do not pay your bill. Let's read the next word together. Allergy. If you have an allergy, you get sick when you eat, breathe, or touch something that doesn't bother most other people. What means an illness from eating, breathing, or touching something? If you have a peanut allergy, you will get sick if you eat peanut butter. An allergy shot can keep you from sneezing when there is pollen in the air. My child has a cat allergy, so I cannot adopt a kitten. Let's read the next word together. Healthy. Healthy means in a good state or condition. What means in a good state or condition? Someone who exercises every day is usually healthier than someone who doesn't. A young, energetic child is healthy, but an old person with medical problems is unhealthy. If you have a goldfish and it dies, it was likely not healthy. Let's read the next word together. Lonely. Lonely means sad from being without the company of others. Sad from being without the company of others is what? When I get home from work, I am lonely until my family gets home. My grandmother lives alone. She was lonely, so we brought her a dog. When I feel lonely, I turn on the television so there are voices in the room. Let's read the next word together. Punch. Punch means to hit hard with a fist. What means to hit hard with a fist? Boxers punch a large stuffed bag during practice. If you punch someone's arm, he or she might get a bruise. I always shut my eyes when one character punches another in the movies. Let's read the next word together. Allow. Allow means to let something happen. What means to let something happen? When I was young, my parents did not allow me to stay up late. If you raise your hand, I will allow you to speak. By opening a window, you allow air to flow into the room. Let's read the next word together. Lurk. Lurk means to wait in secret or to hang out where you shouldn't be. What means to wait in secret or to hang out where you shouldn't be? If you lurk at the back of the store, the manager might grow suspicious. In old houses, it sometimes feels as if a ghost lurks around every corner. You should not lurk in the school hallways after hours. Let's read the next word together. Straight. Straight means in a firm and direct way. What word means in a firm and direct way? Tell me straight. Do you like my outfit? Don't hesitate. Just drive straight into the cold water. The basketball hit me straight in the face. Let's read the last word together. Sin. A sin is an offense against religious or moral law. What is an offense against religious or moral law? Lying is a sin, but many people do this to make people feel good, such as by saying, "I like your new haircut." In Thank You, Ma'am, Roger tried to commit the sin of stealing. People who don't consider themselves to be religious still typically follow a moral code to avoid sins. Now let's turn to page 59 in your student book. Now it's time to read. When reading, you should be thinking about the meaning of the text and the poet's word choice and use of rhyme. Reading poetry out loud can help you hear the rhythm. Reading multiple times can increase your understanding of the poem and the author's intent. Many people do not have experience reading poetry out loud. Some people think it's an art form. Have you ever heard a great song sung poorly? How would that impact your opinion of the song? Singing is to song as reading is to poetry. The way the poem is read is as important as the way a song is sung. Billy Collins, former poet laureate, provides pointers about the oral recitation of poetry. Read the poem slowly. Set the pace by pausing for a few seconds between the title and the poem's first line. Read in a normal, relaxed tone of voice. Speak clearly and slowly. Let the words of the poem do their work. Pause only where there is punctuation, not at the end of every line. Read accurately and fluently. Look up unfamiliar or hard to pronounce words in the dictionary. So now let's look at If I Were in Charge of the World. If I were in charge of the world, I'd cancel oatmeal, Monday mornings, allergy shots, and also Sarah Steinberg. If I were in charge of the world, there'd be brighter nightlights, healthier hamsters, and basketball baskets 48 inches lower. If I were in charge of the world, you wouldn't have lonely. You wouldn't have clean. You wouldn't have bedtimes. Or don't punch your sister. You wouldn't even have sisters. If I were in charge of the world, a chocolate sundae with whipped cream and nuts would be a vegetable. All 007 movies would be G. And a person who sometimes forgot to brush and sometimes forgot to flush would still be allowed to be in charge of the world. Now we're going to listen to a reading of the next poem, We Real Cool.